How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Massive Beer Reviews, back with something a little bit different. Not entirely different, but I am going to post a podcast. I've done that before, but it's usually been either one of my kind of podcast shows I've done on YouTube or my regular radio show I used to do, or my podcast now. But this is a podcast I was actually on. About a month or so ago, I was booking guests for my podcast, Beer Massive. BeerMassive.com, iTunes, Stitcher. Check it out. You better be checking it out if you're watching this shit. Anyway, I was booking people, and one of the people I contacted to be on the show, or asked to be on the show, was Augie Harden of Carton Brewing. He was originally on my radio show a couple times. We did a Carton Brewing episode. We did a Putting Coffee in a Beer episode. And I asked him if he wanted to come on the show, and he said, yeah, but he's like, how about we do this? He's like, you come down to Jersey City and to Barcade and be on his podcast, which is Steal This Beer. He has a podcast, one of my favorite podcasts in the podcasting realm. It's him and John Hall, Beer and Brewing Magazine, and Jessica Kennedy and Brian Cass. They all do kind of a podcast out of there, and they have a bunch of beer writers and journalists and brewers and all that kind of stuff on. So I ended up going on that show, and it was really fun. I had a blast hanging out, drinking some beers and doing the whole thing they do there, and then ended up turning around after we recorded that episode, recorded my podcast. So yesterday they actually posted my episode of Steal This Beer on their feed, and tomorrow I'll be posting my interview with Augie on my feed for Beer Massive, and then actually we're going to flip-flop. Next Monday, instead of posting Steal This Beer, they're going to post my interview of Augie, and then the following Wednesday I'm going to post Steal This Beer on my feed. So it's a little cross-pollination, cross-promotion thing. But I figured I'd post it here. A couple things, though. One, I want to post it here because I think it's good content. And two, I also want to stress that if you do like it, if you do listen to it, just go and get a little dangly little microphone thing going on here. But if you do go, do me a favor and actually go and rate 5 stars and subscribe to their channel. I don't want to kind of bogart approach viewership or feeds or anything like that. I figured it would be a good kind of promotional thing for the podcast itself, just to put it on here, kind of talk about it. So if you watch it here, go watch it there. Give them a like, subscribe, 5 stars, all that stuff, as you should any podcast you like. And conversely, you're more than welcome to do that online too. So there you can go to stealthisbeer.com, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all that stuff for your favorite podcasts are there. So this is going to be my interview on Steal This Beer. And then, like I said, tomorrow on my podcast feed, I'm not going to post it here, it's my interview with Augie. Check both of those out. Follow both, subscribe both, do all that fun stuff that you should be doing anyway. Because in the podcast world, it's not like YouTube. It's the views, the streams, or whatever you want to call it. It's more about subscribing and liking and all that stuff. I guess it pushes you up the feed and all that stuff. Anyway, so yeah, check it out. Let me know what you think down there about the interview and all that stuff. And yeah, go check out both the podcasts and yeah, enjoy.
Steal This Beer, a candid weekly discussion about beer, over beer, by a couple of guys that think about beer way too much.
All right, hey y'all, it's 5 o'clock on Monday, and we are stealing beer. Is it spot on 5? Did I nail it?
It's 4:58.
Motherfucker.
Rewind this shit.
I thought all right, nobody listened for 2 minutes. I felt like I finally had it. I thought you were going to be like, oh my God, he's right.
Know.
My watch says 5 o'clock.
Yeah, well,
okay, so you're...
Yeah, but mine is 10:10 wins news time.
On a
At the
analog watch,
so it's
suspicious at
1985.
best.
You'd be
I've
surprised.
got Garmin satellite time. Hot to the second.
Yeah,
Anyway.
now it says 5.
Now it says well past 5. Fuck you, John Hall.
Anyway, hi, nice to see you.
We are stealing beer. I'm Augie Carton. That's John Hall critiquing me. Justin is in the both producer and mixer seat.
If anybody sees Cass, will you tell him we miss him and please come
Somebody
home?
tell Cass there's a podcast on Mondays at 5.
We tried putting a bell around his neck. And
our
it's just,
accomplice du jour is Matt Dapkins. Dapkins, like napkins with a D. Right on. I like it.
You use that one a lot, do you?
Oh, man, since I was 5. Cash money.
You know what's funny is Carton, my last name. My mother grew up saying like a carton of cigarettes, I think to avoid the carton of milk thing. Me never aware that there was also a brand of cigarettes called Carlton. And it took me to late my 20s to figure out that I was suggesting a misspelling for my name. You know, carton, like the cigarettes, instead of carton, like of cigarettes. I just had it wrong my whole life. Got a lot of L's in my name. Anyway, back
and
to
now
it.
You're just like, the boat. Carton, like the boat.
Like the brewery? No, now I say carton like of milk, but I'm not uncomfortable like my mother was with being associated with milk for some reason. I don't know, man. The 50s were a weird time.
Matt Dapkins.
Matt Dapkins, like napkins with a D. So, let's see. I think you and I met on a proper radio show, right? Not a podcast, like a real on-the-radio show.
Yeah, I used to do a radio show with me and my buddy Derek. We used to do a radio show out of northeastern Pennsylvania. It was like an FM radio station. The shtick was, 15 minutes of talk and then 15-minute brewer interview and then 15 minutes of talk. John was on it also.
That's right.
And that was probably about 2.5 years ago. You were on twice. Once we did just carton brew, and then we did a coffee segment about putting coffee in a beer.
Right on. Well, so the carton one I remember because I believe I talked to you driving a car home from Extreme Beer Fest with 4 of my employees in the car, and the kind of hangover Augie gets when he goes to things like Extreme Beer Fest. So I remember saying, as I hung up with you to everybody in the car, I was like, how bad was that? And they're like, you think we listen to you, dude? I've been listening to you for 72 hours. I have no idea what you just said. But so I'm sure it's somewhere. But so let's go through the progression. Then a lot of times, so you have a YouTube review site, which actually I'm going to say I like, but I like it because you say nice things about my beer. To be completely honest, I really tend to tune in when somebody says, hey, you're on this thing, watch it. Then I'll watch 2 or 3 more that are around the time, and then I fall back out till somebody says, here it is. But every time, I really like what you're doing.
And the YouTube channel, we should point out, is Massive Beers.
Massive Beers on YouTube. But I really like what you're doing because, if Steal This Beer has any, we do a million things and we have a million fights. But, Carton, the brewery, Steal This Beer, the podcast, and I think John in general on all his medias, we're trying to just be kind of enthusiastic. We see no reward in being mean, even though you could be.
Yeah.
We want beer to be fun. We want beer to be cool. We want to talk about what beer is and kind of take hype out of unworthy hype and add credibility to things that are being missed and just have a conversation. And Massive seems that, you know what I mean? You're very enthusiastic. You have a good palate, and your description is very fun, something I care very much about. I like hearing you use words, although my favorite moment is when you've just decided the actual words better than, it tastes like beer.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to describe this one. Go fuck yourself. I was like those. But so is there a mission there? Were you just thinking people would care? Why did you start putting a camera on yourself and recording? How many beer reviews have you done now?
About 1,600. It was more born of just being an introvert and wanting an outlet, and also wanting to do something with beer. I didn't want to be a brewer. I wasn't a journalist. I wasn't a writer. I didn't know what to do. So
John would say no one is.
So I just started doing it just to do it.
Would I?
And then at first it was a lot of I graded this much, I graded that much. But then it just started, I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And then just started doing more of a, do I like it or not? And trying to be, for the lack of a better term, more of like a Pandora, Spotify. Oh, you like this, plug in this person, we'll tell you what this is like. So more people kind of like, okay, one, it's entertainment, and 2, if people dig what I dig, then more often than not, if there's something I dig they never had, chances are they'll like it or not. Yeah. Rather than being absolute A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
And you seem to not let yourself get stuck in the barrel-aged stout, hazy IPA, lager thing, right? As I flip through your catalog, you seem to taste a ton of different shit.
Well, I try, but it's also, I'm 42 years old, and I got into beer, right around like 1999, 2000. So it's like the stuff that I love. You love what you love, even when you look in the past and then you watch the thing that you love, TV-wise, or read if you read a book and you're like, well, that's pretty shittily written or made, but I still love it because it's what I remember. Not saying the beers that I love now or back then were shitty, but it's like you get a love and appreciation for a lot of different things, and you just try to bring that to the front instead of just doing the Haysbro hop thotty stuff,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you evolve. So one of my brewers I've worked with in the past, was married to a very good tattoo artist and has a giant tattoo all over his body that she didn't do. The one night we were just talking, and I was like, it's like, why not have her do it? All the tattoos I've ever seen her done are wonderful. And he said there's a couple reasons, obviously. But the biggest reason is an artist moves on, right? An artist makes art, puts it out there. And if she tattoos me, she's living with her art from that year, that time, indefinitely, and that's not how an artist lives, right?
Yeah.
And that was the definition that made the most sense to me, but also why I'm happy to love shit I loved or made 8 years ago, but don't need to love it today, and without it becoming less good or interesting. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense, because there's also, sometimes you want to, I don't even know how to put it, sometimes you want to be in something and think about it, but at the same time you just want to enjoy it for what it is, and it's kind of, I think it's more like that, like, you know what I mean? Things can be good on a bunch of different levels, and things can be bad on a bunch of different levels, and you can attack it from a bunch of different angles. So, and while at the same time having fun with it and engage with people and have a conversation. And
now, do you consciously go out of your way to? Because, like I said, there's been beers of mine often, which I think is the nature of how I work, which is why I like the feedback I get out of your videos. But there's been beers of mine that you're like, do I need to buy 8 more of these? No. Do I think it's fucking cool what he did? Sure. And that's kind of where Carton wants to live, so it's the right feedback for the ambition. But I've never seen you go out of your way to be like, you know, those silly little helpful thoughts people have, like, oh, if it was just a little more acidic, I'd love it. You know what I mean? You're like, here's how acidic it is, and this is what I think of it. You know what I mean? And those kind of things. Do you go out of your way to avoid those conversations, or to pick beers you think you know what I mean, that are in a groove where you're comfortable?
Like, infinitely, like, ego-ridden, like, it's all about me, you know what I mean, where I want it to be, because it's like almost like a control, you know what I mean, you're the control, so it's like, whether you like it, if it's, I wish it was a little bit more acidic, but I didn't,
right.
I'm not going to say what somebody else might like it being a little bit more acidic, and I get into those points with some beers, and then, like, talk about whether I wanted to be a little bit sweeter, a little bit more kind of, you know, whether it be acidic or this, that, and the other thing, but it's all about what I want. You know what I mean? As opposed to trying to say this beer should be.
Right, exactly.
This beer should be, for me, a little bit more this or that.
But I think the way a lot of people, especially people that are, you know, conceited enough to have a podcast called Seal This Beer or Massive Beers or record themselves on YouTube, even though are conscious of exactly what you just said, the danger is stating things as factual in an editorial and then, you know, undermining the point by saying, and like I said, my compliment is I think you're good about being like, here's what I think, here's what you might think. And I think you're very aware of what others might think while paying attention to what you think. Does that make sense?
To a point, yeah. I mean, it's all like, I think when you do anything, whether it be this show or whatever, like the reason why I listen to the show is because of what you guys do. You try not to, like you said, get to, I don't know how to say it. You want to be opinionated, but at the same time, you just don't want to. You want to be a good kind of asshole, not a bad kind of asshole. If that makes any sense.
I just think that's being Jersey.
So it's like you have to be mindful of what you're doing, but at the same time, you can't be unfiltered. It's a weird world to live in. It's the way beer is.
Do you find yourself though trying to censor yourself and then working past that? Because I think the natural inclination when you are reviewing beers is to, you want to be absolutely forthright about this, and that's the important way of doing it. And the cool thing about us drinking blind is that we don't know who it is. It could be, you know, somebody that we really like or somebody that we've hung out with before, and you don't want to be like, oh man, it's such and such beers, we should be nicer. We don't necessarily have that luxury because of the black glasses and history shows. When you know what you're drinking, what you have up in front of you, do you find that if you are personally disappointed by something, that you hold back a little bit, or do you just like power right through and say like, I gotta, because it's your name, it's your rep?
Well, no, I always say what I feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there's also the combination of there's a difference between a beer I like and if the beer is made well. You know what I mean? So there's that differentiation too. Plus, I do a lot of blind stuff. I don't do the black glass and stuff like that.
There's a whole part of the show where so a lot of your beers, we should get to this, but I don't think it's important beyond what I'm saying. But a lot of your beers come from friends, right? They're like, here, I'm saying this, and some of those come
people
obscured,
I never
right?
before.
But some of those come obscured, like
and
Rat
I wasn't necessarily talking about the blind ones, but the ones where you are where you do have them out and you know what you are drinking.
I try to. It's weird. I try not to be as unfiltered as possible. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's sometimes where, I'll review beers from a brewery that's just open. I had 3 horrible ones. I might not even post them just for the sake of being like, let this brewery grow and get into themselves rather than being like, this place is hot garbage. Screw them. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
so
if that's true, you do a lot of drinking. If you've got 1,600 up and there's some you've thrown out, I'm jealous of your drinking. Speaking of drinking, what brings us together, John Hall?
Oh, yeah? What?
Is candid conversation of beer and what it is, not what we wished or thought. I'm rushing us to this, even though you'd usually have to remind me because I'm drinking this one quick. You know, this is pressing Augie carton buttons in a big way.
Your wife takes it from you.
Yeah, this is that happy medium. So we drink blind out of opaque black glasses, as John's already kind of talked about, and we just talk about what's going on in the glass. So it's interesting here, and I never. So you say you listen to the show, but I'm never trying to guess what the beer is. That's not it. I never want to be like, oh, that's this. But this is hitting a very taut, pretty version of those bone flavors I love, but like it's the non-oud version. You know what I mean? Like there's the little bit of peanut skins, but it's not dominant. There's a great acidity to it, like a real pretty acidity. There's a little bit of sulfur that might blow off with a little more time in barrel before it went.
Yeah.
But it hits all of those things I love in a beer in a very bright, taut, young package. You know what I mean? So,
and when you're saying young, so the thing that I keep,
I mean, like blend 3 years in rather than 7 years in it.
But to use that word, what I almost immediately got, the back of my brain screamed like, "Oh, red fruit," but that wasn't accurate enough. It's green strawberries for me. It's underripe strawberries where you're getting some of that tartness. There's just the beginning of that sweetness coming through as well, and it's young fruit. It's not anywhere near ready for prime time on the fruit wise, but in this beer just is delightful. This is the salad beer for me. This is something where you get some like a nice, I was gonna say arugula, but that might be too bitter. Iceberg.
This is a beer that's going to lead to me destroying some value in the cellar. Right? This is one that's going to be like,
you do that. You open this, and
it's
then
like
your
the
brain
three of you
just
were over, and I'm like, let's try this. Let's see if it's as good as I thought it was, or as good as I remember it being, or whatever. We start drinking. I'm like, oh, and already drinking. The next 4 things to drink just pop right into my head So if you take this one and you go just because this one's your green strawberry thing is perfect, right?
Thank
or white currants, but it's got just enough kind of wheatish body against the acidity that it's not just acid.
Yeah.
It's got that, like I said, it's got that little bit of peanut skins, Brett funk to it, but it's not a funky beer.
No.
But so what I'm saying is right now in my head, there's another beer in my cellar that's more of the peanut skins, that's a little more of the fruit type, the tannic fruit skin.
So it'll make you
feeling.
Pull those out of your cellar.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then, so the next beer is like, which way do we want to go? And then if we do that right, the next beer needs to be further down that path.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, it's tomorrow morning, and there's 32 empty 750s in my house of various stuff I've collected over the years that definitely ends at an old marriage parfait.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, from between this and a good, real 7-year-old blend, and I mean in my cellar for 10 years. Like, that's where you finish this night, and all of us are eating Tums tomorrow morning.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt.
I don't know if I can wait until tomorrow morning. Matt, you've had this beer before?
Yeah, I actually drank this quite a bit. I went to the brewery not too long ago and hung out and had a bunch of it.
Oh.
So, did you write your sentence?
Yeah,
you did,
I just said I'm doing it with salad. And
that's what we are.
Ooh, green bottle.
Got a green bottle.
Dirty green bottle.
But it's from Philadelphia. So this is from fermentary and blendery form, and it's called Formation.
I know nothing about this.
Yeah.
These guys are in Philly?
In Philly, right by Fishtown. Super cool. They actually
done, guys.
old school, legit Solera method. Like they have their barrels racked and they're doing new and the old school kind of sherry way, and they just make really fun beers.
That's really cool.
Shit.
Been super curious about these guys for a while, and this is the first time.
Why haven't I heard of them? This is exactly the kind of beer I like.
Pretty
Philly
under the radar,
is essentially
right?
my
That
neighborhood.
bottle's several months old. Not
You know why
even
we haven't heard of
2018.
them?
It's not even 2017.
So bottled this year.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell you why we
Solera,
haven't heard
there's
of them.
someone looking at it.
Because Cass isn't canning them.
Fucking Cass. Fucking bootlegger. Cass, stop bootlegging hazies. Let me get some real beer
Cass
on this
is
show.
like, glass is really bad for beer. Brought to you by the American Canning Association of America.
He's not wrong. Oh,
Justin,
man,
can we get these guys on an Amtrak?
Yeah, I would like to reach out to them and get them up here.
All right.
So wait,
you'd like to, but like
I will.
John, we're asking. Yeah.
So you recently moved, right? You moved to Jersey from PA?
Yeah, born and raised in Jersey, but moved to the outskirts, like out by Hope, New Jersey, Blair's, New Jersey.
I think 3
months ago.
Come on, say where you're close to.
Close to Hot Dog Johnny's. Thank you very much.
Buttstown, New Jersey.
What's that?
Buttsville.
Yeah.
Buttsville. Come on.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Buttsville's much better than Buttstown.
Not by much. By a hair.
Stop.
Oh.
Wow.
Just
right, take a lap. When you get back, we'll have moved on from that. But here's the thing. So I'm pissed I don't know about this.
I'm sorry you don't know about it.
Can I blame you, Justin?
No, you can't blame me.
You're a beer writer. Why do you keep writing things about which hazy we should buy in August versus writing about these guys?
I've never once written that. I pitched a profile of these guys to one of the publications, and I was going to go down there, but they said, we don't really care that much about them, so we don't think they're very interesting.
John, if this is your publication,
it wasn't John's publication.
It's not. No,
I won't say who it was.
I went down there.
No, you should say who it is. Who is
did
it?
an interview for the
I'm not going to say who
podcast.
it is.
Everybody's talking.
Tony Porter and the L Street News.
I did an interview with Ethan, one of the owners, for the podcast version I do.
Right, so we got to get to that because I was trying to let the progression go gently from the old show to the massive to massive.
Yeah, and then just I heard about him, so I was like, hey, come down. And we ended up connecting on a bunch of old music stuff we used to do. So I just sat down for a night, and we just kind of sat there and drank a bunch of beers and just talked for about 2 hours.
Do you have any read on how much beer they're making?
They open like they're doing the whole like we're open Thursday on a Wednesday. They say, hey, we're going to open tomorrow for 5 hours, but not. I mean,
it's a very small scale.
Manufactured rarity aside,
how
it's
much?
more because they have to.
Okay.
But that being said, this along with 9 other bottles are on their shelves, 9 deep, $12 to $17 a bottle. You can pick it up whenever you want, whatever.
So they've made a good amount of liquid, and they're making it in house. They're not just
all in house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was this corked and capped?
Yes.
So they're doing everything
proper.
just like Kenny. Right?
Yeah,
This
as
is
you do.
the green bottle as it should be. This is a cool beer.
Yeah,
It's a really cool beer.
All right, get him on the show, or maybe I'll just reach out to him to brew with him. That sounds like fun. I like this. All right, so let's get back to Matt. So you just brought it up. Let's get to it. So you had a radio show that you broke away from. Was it because of your moving from PA to New Jersey, or just?
It was a combination of a lot of different things. The biggest portion of it was it was a live radio. It was live. It was a live radio show on a Sunday at noon.
Okay.
So then it got to the point where it was okay. Every single Sunday at noon, I have to be somewhere, and that is absolutely 100% horrible.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like I can't do that. So it got to the point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And there's right before I stopped doing it, there was a couple brewers I tried to book on the show, and one of them I just interviewed, which was Kimmick.
Oh,
and
he's a good brewer.
And yeah, he's not too shabby.
Love
but
that guy.
He gave me the whole I want to do it, but I can't do it till the fall, which I took as I'm not going to do it, but I'll be a nice guy. And I just stopped the show, and then he emailed me like 3 times going, hey, can I do this? Do you still want to do it? And I'm like, why am I not doing this? I'm like, I'm traveling in these places anyway. So I said, let me just invest in, a podcast setup and just turn it into a podcast instead of a radio show and just travel around and hang out and have conversations.
I've had a couple small interactions with Kimmick.
Nice guy.
And just such a but all of them follow that story where he's completely being honest, candid, and fair about everything, and isn't just blowing smoke up your ass, which I think you kind of get used to. And Kimmick says, I can't right now, but I'd love to. Let's try it this way. That way always follows up, right? Like for all my, I haven't made it up to meet him yet, but even my brewers are like, hi, I'm a brewer in New Jersey, and I'm going to be up in Vermont. I'd love to come by. One of them has a great story where he's like, look, dude, I've got a fest all day, or like back when they didn't have the stories, they had like a mobile canning thing day.
Yeah.
And Jerry said, look, man, I just want to meet you. He's like, all right, I'll be loading the truck at 8, show up. And Jerry showed up at like 8 a.m. and spent 2 hours both hanging out with John Kimmick and working for free, loading that truck, and came home completely in love with him. And it's...
Yeah, and it was
seems like the best guy. So you
No,
have
John
this
and his wife
recorded.
Jen
If guys
have
want to
both.
hear you,
Yeah, I put it up about 2 weeks ago. I was on my honeymoon actually, and I was just like, I'll be in the area if you want to hang out, and just went there and sat in his office next to a snoring.
so wait,
next
this
to a
whole
snoring dog.
podcast, did you literally just come on our show so that you have a legitimate write-off for your honeymoon? started a new business, recorded.
I don't have no idea.
Honeymoon
what
you're going to expense the whole honeymoon.
Yeah,
If
I,
this
if I
podcast
was
takes
only
off.
that smart,
Dude, LLC the fuck out of that honeymoon. Be like, look, John Hall's been flying first class for the last 2 years on the Patreon.
I want to see Hannah's
Adam,
paycheck.
I've
That's what
never-
I want to
Great.
see.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah.
But I'm
She
in
knows,
love
how
with
to,
that
she knows how
beer.
to skim off the top and the bottom. It's pretty great. Yeah, and it's one of those cool things, too, where every time you go up to the Alchemist as well, he always has a new piece of equipment to talk about. He always has a new story to tell. And it's so much more than just heady topper when you go there with him. I remember when I visited the new brewery, all he wanted to do was show off his wastewater treatment. And like he spent, I don't know, an hour standing in this like smelly room just talking about it because he's passionate about everything, not just his brew.
The most
So you
enthusiastic-
got to spend 2 hours talking to him for your new show?
Yeah, it was an hour conversation, but we were there for about 2 hours just hanging out. You know
That's
what I mean?
cool.
Like, and the most enthusiastic thing he showed me was a picture of his great grandfather with like a deli counter that said Kimmick Wieners on it. You know, it was by far and away the most
It said Kimmick Wieners.
Kimmick Wieners. Yeah,
I'm so jealous of that.
and he said you got to love a Kimmick Wiener. And I said,
Yeah,
I
all
love
you
me
had
some
was
Kimmick
cigarettes. Yeah.
God damn it.
Wieners. Yeah.
Not only I have cigarettes, I had cigarette confusion. This guy's got Kimmick Wieners. See, he does. Anyway, but that, so all right, so that's actually interesting because that's, if we were going to relaunch this podcast, we started with the Chief.
And
I
Lord
love
knows,
the Chief.
and Lord knows.
None of us would do it
Yeah.
now. None of us would do it now. But we started the Chief, and I love the Chief, so I'm very proud of that. But if I could start a podcast, if a beer cup podcaster has to be super fucking excited that Kimmick's your first guest to launch this thing with, right? I think that
that what you
alone
said?
is cool.
Did you say
No,
that
no,
you
he
launched
didn't launch it.
Yeah.
It's been going
Jesus,
for a
man,
while
pay
now.
attention.
This is more.
I thought
well,
he said
was,
I started it because
Well,
Kimmick was
he's-
at my
He
honeymoon.
heard wrong.
and-
He's the one who made me kick it back off.
Oh,
And I
okay.
did a bunch leading up to actually
all
going
right.
because the whole shtick is I gotta be there. I don't want to do it over the phone. I've done a couple over
That's
the phone.
smart, too.
But I want to be there, so it's get up to Vermont is a tall order. So I ended up getting up there.
What the hell?
So
Is
What's
there like
wrong?
a splash in here? Or is this like is this from a nip bottle? I feel like there's like half an ounce
Mine's
in here,
nice and
Justin.
full. Mine's nice and full.
Sorry, did I not divvy it up?
Just see how much is in
Make
there.
sure you like it.
Just see how much is in
Make
here.
sure you like it.
Here, John. Trade
This
with
is
me.
one of
No,
those.
no, it's too late now.
This is one of those John Hall beers. Oh man.
Hello, booze.
But
Hello,
and it's
just
got that soy thing. I
that-
love that you don't always
Yeah.
love, right?
No. I do enjoy that. I enjoy the soy thing. You don't.
No, I do.
yeah, this is a huffer.
I just get everything right. Right? For me, I got yeah. Right. If you
Seriously.
put this in a bag,
Yeah, I was just about to say.
you
Can we
can definitely
try
turn
that?
into
That'd
Beavis
be fun.
if you bag this on your head.
Good lord.
I think I've smelled this with you recently.
I
think I smelled this with you recently.
it has similar.
Let me taste it and see if it does all those sherry things.
It's not Billy beer, if that's what you're thinking.
Did you break a cork into a bottle and not tell us?
You sure as shit did.
Someone did break a
You
cork into a bottle.
motherfucker.
I didn't do it. The bartenders opened it.
Wow.
Matt warned me
You
that
gotta
it
warn us.
that it might.
Matt warned you. You didn't think to pass that to us?
I told Carl. He opened it. He said we strained it through cheesecloth and put it back in the bottle.
They need to double up that cheese.
So this has some age on it, or somebody's using really cheap ingredients and a
Well,
time machine.
what's funny about this is, so it comes up on the show often that I'm very sensitive to TCA.
Yeah.
And the shorthand for TCA is corked. This beer, when I put it in my mouth, tasted like cork, not like TCA. And I had to be very careful that what I tasted in my mouth was physical
Actual
cork and not a cork taint that reminded me of cork.
That's why your
God.
glass was so heavy.
That is.
Yeah.
So, all right. So it's got a lot of the soy thing going on there. Some of
I
that
know exactly what
umami.
it is.
Yeah,
My question is it the 98 or the 94?
Well,
I
no, they
think
only
it's the
did.
98.
They only did it 1 year, and that was
No,
94.
there's 2 years of this.
I don't know if that's true.
There is. And
He
you,
thinks it's
There's
San-
3 years of
and
this.
you and I had a cherry version once
Did we?
in Colorado
No,
at
this
Elevation.
wasn't a cherry version.
This isn't the cherry version,
No.
but you and I had a cherry version of it too.
I don't think that's. Yeah.
I'm only saying this.
So it's got a ton of
I'm
booze.
only saying this because it doesn't
got
have
this-
it's got the It's got the right kind of Oloroso sherry flavors, and not the Fino sherry flavors of the one that cost hundreds of dollars.
So you think this is Sam Adams Triple Bock is what we're talking about?
I think it's Triple Bock. I don't think it's Utopia's because it's not acidic enough.
No, this isn't Utopia's, and Utopia's doesn't have corks.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I've only had it at fancy parties. I've never poured it myself.
No, Utopia's doesn't have corks.
Whatever this was, even if we're wrong, even if this is...
No, even if we are wrong.
If this is Alaskan Porter again...
So
it still had a cork in it for sure.
It's
I
Orval.
can prove, but oh, can you imagine how old Orval would have to be to taste like this? John Hull, we brought you 1931 Orval.
So it's got this English toffee barley wine thing going on in the background as well,
tons of coffee,
tons of chocolate, but like rich baker's chocolate. That's like where there's like that bitterness on the end of it.
Right now, it's smelling better than it's drinking,
and
which is why I'm guessing it's 98 instead of 94. Because 94, everything this thing is blasting at me is a little more subdued, but everything it's tasting is so rich and immediate that I'm just guessing. So I think all the ones I've really seriously considered were 94s, or at least those are the ones I owned when I started drinking these. Man. You know what? If this is a fucking lager from Maine, it's not me, it's the brewer.
but how many times did they DH this? It's God, this is
we might be up to a S or Q DH.
I mean, I keep taking whiffs of it, and just I can feel the alcohol just infusing in my brain just through my nose.
This is one of those days I was gonna go home and work out once I got there. Now I'm just feeling like I might just eat some chocolate chip cookies and watch TV.
So the mouthfeel is off. Well, I'll just agree on that.
No, I don't think it's off. I think it tastes like chewing on the coffee beans it smells like.
It tastes like every flavor you can imagine reduced way too far.
But everything we're describing has an acidity to it, and it tastes like all those acidities, right? Baker's chocolate is an acidic thing. Coffee beans are an acidic thing. And why I'm not bothered by it is it feels in line with those aromas feels. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm saying, like, I don't know if this is going to thin or we're definitely right.
Yeah.
So you guys know we use the sock monkey to obscure the bottle. The sock monkey just came out of a box, and this bottle barely fills the top third of the sock monkey.
And the bottle
There's
is
a lot of room
blue.
in the sock monkey. I see black. Blue underneath. So yeah, it's triple bock. What year is it?
It's actually 94, 95, and 97. This is 97.
All right.
Wow.
Okay. So I was righter than you. So it's 97. So it is the most recent one.
On the side of the bottle?
What's funny is, so John and I did a big...
Holy crow, that is...
So yeah, if you gave me this bottle...
There's sentiment. Can you take a picture of this, Justin, and
get
this on our
If you gave me this bottle not knowing what it was, where it came from, and knowing its history, without the writing on it, I would guess somebody's homemade wine went terribly wrong.
Right. So this bottle is
like
blue in color, and after the neck ends and it gets into the body of the bottle, there is a thick blackness caked in on the inside that is peeling off like linoleum on the inside of it. This is wow. So this is 97s.
Yeah, I found a case of this actually not too long ago. Yeah, yes. I mean, not too long ago, about 10 years ago. I mean, but
well stored.
But yeah, I mean, on the like.
Hold on a second. Well stored is a. Yeah.
Keep in mind, when I bought mine of these, I bought it like it was a roll of certs at a liquor store.
But the corks. I mean, the biggest flaw in this is the corks are the worst. They crumble and they break. But every now and then you get a really good one. This is probably one of the better ones I've ever had as far as being kept.
Fucking dynamite.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. So what's funny about the corks, you've now introduced us to a conversation I never thought this would get to. But there's a very bad notion we've touched on in the Abscond This Van episode about... So somehow somebody that people take seriously put out the notion that you should store beer upright, not on its side.
Yeah.
And that is completely wrong in every way. And I believe the reason it is that way is for the marketing of the beer labels, because there's utilitarian caps and not capsules like wine and all that. And people wanted you to be able to know what you're reading without moving it. But the truth is, if these corks are weak, it's most likely because they were stored upright and weren't kept moist.
Yeah.
And that's another reason thieves keep beers you want to seriously get old on their side, crown cap or not.
Why was this brewed in California?
What does it say, Justin?
It says the Boston Beer Company under special arrangement, Sarah's, California.
97 might be before they had their big brewery. Maybe they're in transition.
Could have been.
Huh.
Well, they still do their brewing all over the world.
Yeah.
But if it's a one-off bottle... So the problem with Sam Adams, I would say, God, someday we'll get... How do you say this, Cook? Cook. Someday we'll get that Cook in here to talk to. But
I'll make the call
when he was doing lager at 8 different places, there'd be all confusion on the 8 different places thing, right? But
I don't know if
this beer was only made one
he
place.
Was making, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I mean, this wasn't a beer that would be confusing. Like, they didn't make this at every one of the Sam Adams breweries.
I don't even know where the original one. I don't know if it was still California or whatnot. But also, I know when this came out, people thought it was the devil. You know what I mean? Like,
I loved it.
Oh yeah,
I loved it. I love this.
I remember having it fresh actually when it came out. Well, 3 years old. That's funny to say 3 years old fresh.
You know, totally fresh.
Yeah.
Brand spanking new. Oh, I love this beer.
8.45 fluid ounce bottle, and they call it an ale brewed with maple syrup.
Do they?
See, had Justin read the damn side of the bottle.
Stop acting like Justin produces. Oh, fuck, I love this beer. So I didn't know there was maple syrup in it. Is that a nice... So here's... What we need here is a triple bock perfectionist. Because I don't think the 94 had syrup in it. I think that's something they did in 97.
I'll look it up and we'll get the conversation going on.
All right, let's get back to it. We're supposed to be talking about Matt, what he's doing.
No,
and
Justin's
somehow
producing that.
It was brewed at Bronco Wines in Sarah's, California.
Okay.
Cool.
It was brewed at a winery, apparently.
All right.
Wow.
Right on.
I'll call
So
up,
you
I'll
know
get
when
some
you
info.
take... So have you ever been up to the Sam Adams in Boston?
Yes, briefly.
We were brought over as Carton from an EBF night, so we got I don't think we got a tour that's that unique. I think that place is good enough that everybody that gets a tour gets a good tour.
Yeah.
But, you know, they knew we were brewers, and they let us ask a bunch of dumb questions. But they swear that the Utopia's monstrosity piece of wood in there still has some of this beer in it.
Yeah, it's...
Well, there's the Utopia's black version, which would be the anniversary version. And they have like the
Do people actually call it the black version? I don't know if
don't-
the brewery ever called it
I
that,
don't
but they
know.
did come up with their special bottle for the
Yeah,
10th
there's
anniversary.
they might have did it twice. I know they definitely did it once, where instead of being that kind of pearlescent kind of copper bottle or whatever you want to call it, carafe, they did a jet black one, and that's the one that supposedly has a bunch of triple bock in it.
Right on. All right. Interesting. So that's legitimately a good thing to know. Thank you for sharing that. That's value added. Justin should have been able to do that. I'm sorry.
Value added plus.
We're always sorry about Justin. See, now we're supposed to be good talk here, but I'm just fucking wrapped up in my head on this beer. This is the problem with being a drunk instead of being a radio guy. Like I just want to keep tasting that beer and stop talking. So all right, so let's do that. So we've talked about kind of. I like that you come from an appreciative point in the genres I've seen you do your thing in, and you're not just somebody trying to show off the things they've learned, but you seem to be a true fan of the craft and what's going on. And like you said, you're speaking from your opinion without needing to be pedantic and prove a point. But let's organize the beer you would drink if you were making a beer in aspects of just the 4 ingredients. Let's go adjunct free. But of the beers you've been tasting, this wide myriad of 1,600 beers, what level of hoppiness would you want? What level of malt would you want? Like, what if somebody was going to pick any brewer? Let's pick Kimmick. If he's going to put together a beer from you, say, I'd like it hoppy-like, malty-like, yeasty-like, and watery-like. And it's okay if that's not one beer. You know what I mean? Just what are the ones that are new or old?
Are you asking me like a really long-winded what my favorite beer, or
no? Because that's no fun. And if you're a real fan, you can't have one answer, right? That's a top 50. What I'm saying is, if you're drinking a malty beer, like what? If you're drinking a hoppy beer, like what? You know what I mean?
I mean, if I'm drinking honestly a hoppy beer, it's a lot either what not to kiss butts, but what Kimmick does, or these guys at Chicago, I love the Hop Butcher for the World. They're called.
Butcher for the World?
For the World.
I like the name.
They do the cool stuff with hops I've seen in
like a super long time. So the way they just use hops from a dark beer to like a light beer perspective are absolutely fantastic. From a malt end of things, I mean, my king shit of fuck mountain beer is Thomas Hardy's. So
Yeah.
when you're talking about English barley wines, you know what I mean? That's my favorite beer of all time. You're going to talk about that. Yeast-wise, honestly, I've always been a huge fan of La Trappe Koningshoven's yeast. I like that banana ester they have in there with their quads and stuff like that. That's always been my favorite I mean, it's not super complex. It's just doing exactly what I love. So would they work all together? I don't know, but I'd like to try it.
Well, to be fair, they might.
And water, Jersey.
There's
water.
no doubt
It's gotta be
there's some.
Jersey.
Yeah, well, obviously, and Central Jersey, not North or South. But you must know, because all right. So I think I've only really had Hardee's once, and it was on the show. Somebody
Had it a
gave it
couple
to
of
me,
times. It's
and I
always-
was like, "Holy fuck! This is magic! What the fuck is this?"
That's the beer I freak out over.
But it's
Yeah.
got a bit of banana to it, right? So I think your yeast thing plays in your love of that beer too. Somewhere in that really kind of wonderfully taught bruleed sugar thing that rides through that is a bit of banana, as if it was a like a bananas Foster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a bit more desserty, a bit more confectionery or whatever, instead of being just like whatever. But I mean, the real thing that really turns me on when it comes to maltiness is age. I love aged beers. It's like my favorite thing in the world. So when Hardy's gets to that, like I like to say it, raisinette level. You know what I mean? Where you get that big, huge kind of old school raisin pruniness with chocolate. It just my butthole gets tight. You know.
Well, that might just be because whatever.
Well, just
That's magic. So wait, I'm gonna interrupt for a second before we go to the news and all the thank yous and the beseeching for our patrons.
Yeah.
But so we're gonna put this episode up, and Matt will probably put it up on his as well. After this, I'm gonna do an episode of Massive Beer with
Beer Massive. Is the
Beer
name of the
Massive.
box.
Sorry, Beer Massive with Matt, and we will put that up next week as in the Steal This Beer slot, just so whatever cross-pollinate or whatever the two different things are supposed to do, but more importantly, so you can hear that version of this discussion.
Wait, so people get to hear you talk twice?
Twice.
No, it'll be a week
What
later.
a- what a treat it is
We'll
for
give
them
them
to
their
show.
same 7-day break from me. But it'll be, so there will be a Steal This Beer episode that is Beer Massive a week from when you hear this one. Is that
All right.
clear to everybody? So if you want to hear
Maybe.
it, tune in next Monday.
So think about like the whole Led Zeppelin, like what is that? Alice in Wonderland? Not that. What's the other one?
The Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
That's Pink Floyd.
You're gonna want to play both at
you're
the
gonna
same
wanna
time
sync
in
'em.
both years. So basically, it's Steal This Beer, then me, then Steal This Beer.
Great,
Exactly.
Fantastic.
We'll do
Got it?
a remix EP of all
There
these
you go.
episodes.
You gotta
Some-
auto-tune
I
the
don't
shit out
give a
of it.
shit. I wasn't invited to be on this
Somebody
podcast,
please
so,
get
I'm leaving,
please get
so.
John some mushrooms, so it'll all make sense.
That's all right. Justin, you have a letter?
I do. I have to issue a correction first
Uh-oh.
because
Oh, wait,
apparently
I saw
s-
this on Facebook. People are really mad at you, Justin, for
People
a
are
guy
re-
who talks once an episode.
It doesn't
Boy,
seem to
did
matter
you
how
rile
much
some-
BS
you rustled some jimmies.
Mr. Garden goes through over here. But when I say something wrong, it really matters. So,
Well, because you're the voice of truth.
What
I'm
happened?
the voice of Augie.
so I said a few episodes ago, from personal experience, that Monkish does not have IPAs in their tap room.
Oh,
And the
didn't
worst
you say
part
like
is
they
you were
left their
answering my
ideals
question.
behind?
You are no. Somebody else said they left their ideals behind. I
That was
believe it was
Goldfarb?
Goldfarb.
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
But
on that
I was
episode.
asking questions, and he answered my question from a memory, and our Facebook page lit the fuck up with "Tell Justin he's an idiot."
Oh, all right. So,
And we got an email from Bill Malloy as well saying,
Does Bill Malloy own?
no, you know Bill Malloy doesn't know. You know Bill Malloy.
Do I?
Yes.
Okay.
Bill
We know.
Hi,
Malloy.
Bill. Hi, my old friend Bill.
Subject is Young Kennedy.
Hi, young Kennedy.
Monkish does serve IPAs in their tasting room. I have been and had. They smelled great. Bill Malloy.
STFU.
I stand corrected. When I was there, I've been there twice. They did not have any of the IPAs, but apparently they do. So
All
I'm going to
right.
give you a bit of
apologize.
advice, old man to young man. If you get visibly drunk enough every time you're out in public, nobody expects you to know the truth. That's just my advice to you.
Hey,
I've,
and
I've
listen,
made a living
as-
doing
Or
it.
that
as-
is your truth.
As punishment, you also can't go on Matt's podcast. So that's sorry.
At the
No,
Hammer
he's going to
John.
be there because he's going to tweak our
Great,
ass across
fine,
Reddit.
thanks.
It's just you, John. Nobody likes you, buddy.
Fair enough.
All right.
We have a real
Let's
letter.
have a real letter that
Every-
isn't just
every morning I
correcting
live
young
that, yeah.
Justin. I love that he called you young Justin.
I know.
That
Young-
makes me
young
the happiest
Kennedy.
of all.
But yeah.
How old
I
is
wish
Bill?
he'd called you young Christopher or one of the fuck up names.
All right, we got a letter from Drew Marcotti. and he says it's a problematic question.
Okay.
How does the STB crew feel about Viceland's Beerland show? Meg Gill makes it out to be an observation of homebrewers all around the U.S. I watched the first 2 seasons as I got into homebrewing myself, and the dumbed-down art of brewing somewhat helped. But I couldn't help think of the manipulation InBev is pulling off with the show as Golden Road has sold out to them. So I want to know the panel's thoughts, if you guys will comment on this show. I know you guys had Meg on a while back, where she even promoted the show, so I'm curious about your thoughts.
I can honestly say that when we had her on the show and they'd put out like a teaser trailer of like a sizzle reel of like what she was doing, and I watched that, I haven't seen any episodes of the show.
That's my response too. I'm not interested in watching it, so I can't really comment.
It's not that I'm even not interested. I don't think I get that channel, and yeah.
You can watch it online, but...
Oh, can I?
Yeah.
All right, well, maybe I will now.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
But that won't stop me from talking about it. So... here's the thing. I'm going to make 2 arguments. One, you know it's AB InBev, and you know that they're trying to promote it. So that means something else in your life is working right. At some point, I watched an episode of there's some preposterous show where a guy takes over a bar, throws out everything in the bar, replaces it with Smirnoff and Coors Light.
Yeah.
Bar Rescue or something?
Right, so that show. And somebody asked me to watch it, or somebody told me I should watch it, I guess. I watched it. I was like, this is clearly sponsored by Smirnoff and Bud Light. Nobody would make all these choices. And it's clearly just long-form promotion. So that's the thing that exists in the culture, and people are obviously not sad to be part of. The fact that you're aware of it means they're either so bad at it it's okay, or you're so
plugged in
woke that it's okay, or far more importantly, we're doing our job and informing you of that, right? So that part's working. But the other part you said is when you were new to brewing, it got you excited and got you into it enough that you moved the fuck on. And then it did some good for you, right? So I don't think we need to have an opinion on it. I don't think you need to have an opinion on it. You know the truth. You know it was your gateway beer. Who cares if Killian's Red got you to Bass, which got you to
Amen.
Fat Tire?
Yep.
I got you there, right?
I will point out that...
just do me a favor. Drunkenly scream at all your friends that it's an AB, plant to screw up the market, and then we've done our job.
Sure. I will point out that AB, through its ZX Ventures, owns Northern Homebrewer Supply, which is one of the largest, if not the largest, homebrewing.com sites and stores out there.
You had to tell me that, and I forgot it.
Yeah, so I mean, so I don't know if that factors into the show or not, but I'm going to guess that on some level it does, and so that's just something to know as well. That's just another part of the AB thing. But yeah, if you get something out of a TV show and you like it, then cool. And now that Justin tells me it's on the intertubes, maybe I'll go and take a look.
Let me take what you just said, because again, that's something I should know because I do care, but I erase my brain every night. But you have told me that I should not. But that leads me to a question. So aware it's AB InBev and feeling like it's AB InBev marketing clearly stuck out to you and you moved on. Did you know they own It's More Beer, you said?
Northern Brewing Supply.
Northern Brewing Supply, all right. And as a home brewer that's moved on from the show, do you use that service? Are you aware ABOs? Please write us another letter and fill us in on that part. Because what I thought was obvious and not working because you picked it out might be exactly wrong. It might have worked perfectly where you've moved on, you're not drinking AB, but you're buying whatever the brewing supply place's name stuff is all the way. So maybe it worked perfectly, and I'm again thinking way too obvious picture.
Yeah. So.
Damn it, Augie. All right, so
thanks for the letter.
If they want to write us a letter,
or write Justin directly and complain about something,
well, everybody should do that all the time. That should literally.
Thanks again, Bill.
That's almost as good as the $50 Patreon level is if you're just inundating Justin with corrections.
Augie gets to the emails before I do. So.
The $50 Patreon level will give you Justin's personal cell phone number.
That's right. Yeah, that's part of it now.
I accidentally printed that on a business card one time. So
did you?
I have Steal This Beer flyer actually.
On the Steal This, great.
So it's out there in the world.
Yeah.
And I yelled at you for it too, looking out for you. But now I want it to happen right away.
No, that's fine.
You guys can call me if you want.
Justin's great.
So Matt, thank you you for joining
Yeah,
us.
we appreciate
Guys,
it,
like I
Matt.
said, tune into us next
And
week.
it's also Steal This Beer Podcast at gmail.com.
Well, I'm getting to all that.
Okay, well, you set it up, and then you, as always, flipped the switch, and you started to thank Matt.
Listen, it's jazz, baby. It's not classical. We are not on paper here. Anyway, so what was I going to say before John taught me what I was going to say?
You're thanking Matt.
So anyway, Matt, thanks for coming out. Like I said, tune in to our show next week to hear Beer Massive, and tune into Beer Massive to hear this. And then we'll go back to doing two different things. If they want to write us a letter like that person just did, they do it at
stealthisbeerpodcast@gmail.com.
And if they want to reach out on all the different social medias,
it's at Steal This Beer.
Right on. And if they want to keep us alive, keep John flying first class, maybe have Brian Cass come back into the fold, they give us some patroons on patreon.com/Steal This Beer.
Right. We should point out that the money actually goes to more than just buying me
to be
fancy
fair, I don't think we've
tickets.
ever actually flown you first class.
Yeah.
But if you listen to this show, you know I like beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
It's kind of my thing. A whole bunch of dudes with backpacks and throat beards just walked in, so I think Beer Massive's about to start.
That'd be them.
Told you.
Awesome.
All right,
Matt,
anyway,
thanks again.
Get at us and let us know what you think.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.